Hi, this is Amy from alchemillahospital.net, and last time we left off we were in the alternate Midwich Elementary School, and we'll be finishing that area up this time. And right now we're headed to the roof. And behind these fences here there's some wheelchairs, and then on the other side there's those hanging bodies. And that's some concept art. This is also one of the places you can use the channeling stone if you're going for the UFO ending. These are some pictures ripped from one of the demos. There's some charming MS Paint type pictures on the disc. And some of them are just placeholders like that for when they have a decent rendered picture that they would, eventually replace that with. And this is if you use the channeling stone here, which I believe is the first place you use the stone to get the alien ending, UFO ending. Alright, now we're turning off the water because the key has now been washed down because that pink ball has plugged up the hole. So now we can go down to the courtyard to get that. And that's a classroom key. Okay, now we're headed out to the courtyard. And there's the key. And one of the reasons I was always, concerned when people brought up the idea of, what if they remade this game in HD is I would just be concerned that they would mess up, this great level design. And I know it doesn't look great in the year 2015, but, in 1999 it did. And I think they just made the best possible use of, the limitations of the PlayStation 1 at the time. And I really like, the bodies that are hanging around and the color schemes and the chains hanging from the ceiling in some of the rooms here. And rust and blood. And I would just be horrified if they did that differently. But I think I'm, coming around to the idea. If they did decide to do that, I could handle that as long as they don't, change too many things or, make it brighter. Because if they're going to make the level look excellent, in high definition graphics, then I worry that it's not going to be so dark and hard to see, and that's part of the game, is it's supposed to be dark and hard to see and creepy. I'd worry that they'd light it up so you could see their hard work. And while that's understandable, that it's not, that's not the experience that's supposed to be here, I don't think. I like the bad voice acting also. He dead? Yeah, he's dead now. Oh, we got some friends in here. And there's some more hanging bodies out there. Guess that's above the courtyard. Anyway, you can kind of see through there. And now we're going to pick up the library reserve key. And there's nothing in there. Oh, but there's something in there. And I guess in the beta versions it was called a stack room key. And in the demos it was called the lobby key. The one demo was called lobby's key with an apostrophe S. But, you know, that part was just changed because they were trying to make it shorter. You know, because it was a demo, I suppose. And you weren't supposed to go through, you know, everything. I mean, the demo level was a bit shorter, so that's probably why they changed that. Yeah, I think I need to get into that other hallway. I should have played through a little bit in the PAL version rather than the NTSC version only. Because in some of the versions, they, reasons of censorship or whatever, they did not have the gray children, and they had the mumblers, the little, like, orange, brown, claw, finger creatures. And here instead, I think, yeah, also in the beginning of the game, in the nightmare section, in that alley. Because I guess these look too much like children and you're in a school. They don't look like any children I've ever seen, but, you know, whatever. But I'm glad I got, you know, I originally got the version that had them because I do like them better. Okay, now we're in the library reserve. There's just great atmosphere in this part of the game. And I just don't think it could have been done better, even if it was, you know, for a later generation system. And there's the book that tells you sort of what to do. There were a couple other versions of this book in the play novel. One was the religious book, and it has the picture of that seal, and the other one was a botanical book or pharmaceutical book or something, and it talked about White Claudia. But that was in the play novel. There's the religious one in the corner there. And the one in Silent Hill 1 just has a picture of the lizard guy. Alright, classroom key. Oh, there he is. He's not dead yet. This part probably creeped me out more than, you know, other parts of the game, just because they would, you know, gang up on you, and you never knew when you opened a door, you never knew what was in there, how many. If they'd be right there when you open the door and you couldn't shoot them fast enough. But if you do want to conserve bullets, you can just turn the flashlight off and run past after you get used to the layout of the school. So I could probably do this part with my eyes closed, but you know, since I have the flashlight on, I'm shooting everything. We've already been in there, so there's not much point. Now we're on the other side of that door, so we can unlock it. And then it just makes it easier, so you can go in here and go to the infirmary, save your game before the fight if you want. Oh, there's some health in there. That's it. And the lobby. That's strange too. A wheelchair. What is this doing here? Oh, maybe one of the students uses it. Why is that strange? Okay, there we are. That's why we came in here. And I believe I forgot to pick up the shotgun. So that's the whole point of me going through this part again. And one of these bathrooms is an elevator and takes you up to the second floor. And one or two of them have bullets, and then there's the one with the shotgun. See, now it looks like the layout has changed, and that's because we've gone up to the second floor. And here's some bullets. Handgun and shotgun. Oh, we're going to pick those up. And head to the other one. Now we're back to the first floor. And there he is. The monster lurks. And that's also ripped from the disc. Different angle there. And we want to go down to the basement now, I believe. Unless I forgot other things. And I do that a lot. Already been in there. That's just the infirmary. Alright, saving again with the shotgun this time. And there's some more shells. That's useful. Those are on the roof. Those bodies. And there's just a gurney or something in there. And then you have this puzzle where you have to get the things out of there. I don't know why, because Harry could just crawl under there or break them down or something. But so it is in video games, I guess. We're going to go to the other one. This is with the walk through walls code. He's just going to walk right through there. And he's like, you know, screw this puzzle. And if you do it correctly, now we have it open. I usually start off with the handgun and then go to the shotgun once the music changes. This is my favorite. See that? That's the monster there, and then there's a stick figure, and it's just this very charming MS Paint stuff that, you know, the developers made as placeholders or whatever that were on one of the demo discs. Oh, there he is. And then again, that's walk through walls, and now I'm going with the burning body. They can't get you there. It gives you a better view of what's going on. There's the hyper blaster. Okay, and there's me playing for real on the PS3. And more of the hyper blaster. That's playing on an emulator. Alright, I got a shot in there. And you see in this little inset, I actually lured the monster off the platform, so he's walking on thin air there. Now, I know it's hard to see, but that's because his flashlight, you know, Harry's flashlight doesn't go very far. And it's really the fire that lights it up, and, you know, if the fire isn't close to him, you can't see what the hell's going on. But anyway, with the walk through walls code, sometimes the monsters disappear altogether, and other times wacky things happen, like he leaves the whole level and he's walking around floating in air. And there's Alessa. Back in the boiler room, and now we're back in the normal foggy Silent Hill. As normal as Silent Hill is, I guess. And there's the K. Gordon key, and we're going to pick that up.
Who the hell was that?
And then we're going to get back onto the streets of Silent Hill, so we can... And we're going to use some of those codes so we can just run right across the chasms rather than doing things the normal way. That also helps if you want to go back to certain places, you know, that you only see in the daytime. You can go back to them in the dark, which is kind of fun. I don't know why. And now we hear some church bells, so we're going to head towards the church now. And maybe pick up a chainsaw or rock drill on our way to the other part of town. Alright, I gotta get back to the lobby, which is the other way, so I can get the hell out of here. And that's it for this time.